is the Kev Baker Show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. A big, huge, massive, warm welcome to this, the favourite night of the week, the Freaky Friday edition of the Kev Baker Show and the Freedom Link with me, Kev Baker, my two co-hosts, John Sinclair, Martin Hardy, and tonight we've also got Joe Joseph along for the ride. And tonight I'm going to go to Marty first. Let's get the chat room out the way and let's get into this woo early doors, man.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone in the chat room this evening. Morning. I suppose it depends where you are, really. 48 so far, so big hello. 17 Meat Dog, Angel Whispers, Art Klingon, Ozzy and Zach, Be the Change New Zealand, Cheryl, Cows in Nappies, Den in Oldham, Double, that one always catches me out, you know. Double Blood Red, Federal Jack, our own Popeye, Freeman 8, Harold 70, Ivy Nurse, Joe Joseph, who's here with us, Kevin John, Chris, Mad Martian, Noworthy Icon, One Final Effort, Stushir, Supersonic Rich, Tempest, how's it going, man? The Doc, great to have you back. We've actually got the Doc in the chat room, so welcome, sir. Cloud, just another name, Penelope, Phasar, The Darkness, Ragnar, Longshot, Tenant Super, great, Lethal Goose, Max, Veritas, and a whole host of anons. 51 so far, so if I've missed you, sorry, but welcome.
Marty, I honestly don't know how you rattle through them that fast, and you also managed to check there's no mines in there for you to trip over. Absolutely fantastic. Johnny Whistles, 51 in the chat. What a night this is going to be.
Incredible, Kev. Yeah, really looking forward to tonight's show. I love the Friday night, so even better with the Scotland winning tonight, Kev, so we're all in a happy mood going into this Super Friday.
We definitely are, Johnny. And on that note, let's bring in our fellow co-host tonight, Mr. Joe Joseph. This is our favourite night of the week, Joe. It's the Freaky Friday. Here we go.
Aye, it sure is, laddies, and I'm so glad that Scotland won in the freaking soccer last night. Yeah.
Excellent. It really is. It's honestly, it's like the third or fourth horseman of the apocalypse turning up when we had a Scotsman winning the Wimbledon at the tennis.
What's wrong with that?
And then, but Scotland don't do well in sports, Joe. We're notoriously good losers.
Well, maybe you guys are just turning over a new leaf. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Hopefully, Joe. So you're looking forward to tonight. I believe in hours 2 and 3, you've lined up a couple of very special guests.
Yes, we have Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton. We're going to be talking about geoengineering and chemtrails. And then Gwen is also going to join us in hour 2 and 3 as well. And Popeye's joining us at the bottom of this hour to go over what he's going to be talking about tonight. So it's jam-packed night tonight on TFR.
Excellent stuff. And let's get into this woo early. And I want to come to you, Marty, because just pre-show there, you were posting a couple of links and one really caught my eye. And there was something about a paranormal investigator who ended up being stabbed. Do you want to tell us more about this one?
Yeah, this was actually Robert Stephen Lawson. He was a paranormal investigator, as you say, and he was visiting the Vilska Axe Murderer house. It's actually a famous attraction for investigators and stuff. People actually pay over $400 to stay in this house due to the murders that happened in 1912, in which there were 6 children murdered. Now, there's been all sorts of strange reports over the years from this location, strange voices coming up on EVPs saying kill them, you know, all sorts of sightings of children and crazy guys with axes and stuff. But yeah, this guy's actually ended up stabbed in the chest. They are saying that they're not sure whether he did it because he was suicidal, you know, or because he wanted a story. But no, I can't see somebody just stabbing themselves in the chest because he's in quite a bad way in hospital right now. So, what happened there?
That sounds about as likely as a banker choosing to kill himself with a nail gun, shooting himself 8 times. I don't think the guy's done it for attention. But Whistles, what do you make of that one? There's some kind of possession gone on there? Or is it just somebody looking for attention or nothing to see here?
Oh, I think it sounds like, I mean, if you want to go the woo way, it sounds like a possession. Do you know what I mean? God knows what
So you are afraid of something after all, huh?
The very one. But what was going through that guy's mind at the time, Kevin? That's a hard thing to do, you know what I mean? Stab yourself. You don't know if you're going to kill yourself for a start off.
Joe, you've obviously got something to add to this. You're
What
not
are
buying
people-
this story.
No, man. What are people doing? I mean, come on, dude. Are you serious? No, I'm not buying it at all. Not for a second, dude.
But Joe, yeah, there's people like in Paraguay. We've just had a case where a woman accused of witchcraft, actually was put to death. She was burnt to death. Now, it sounds
In
to
an
me,
oven.
as if this guy that Marty described was doing nothing more than what this woman was probably doing. And yet, look at the difference that happens in Paraguay compared to here.
Well, people take things a lot more seriously, especially down in like Latin America. I think Whistles, you were saying something before the show about that, about how I think we were talking about how they were doing more exorcisms
Yeah.
now because of to try to stop the bad behavior, and I forget what else. But when you get into organized religions, it's almost it's cultish in nature, and if one person does it, they all do it, and it very sheepish. So I mean, I totally understand, like why they would do that. It's kind of like Monty Python, the witch scene.
But
I mean,
the
that's the way
church, but isn't it the fact, or couldn't it be that the church are actually so scared of this because there's so much to it? I mean, if it was all hocus pocus and it was nothing to worry about, then why go to the lengths of burning people alive for daring to play with it?
Well, how come they don't confirm the existence of aliens when they know that they exist? I mean, here they are with a big ass telescope on Mount Graham in Arizona, and they're not. Well, just to look at the stars. Really? Is that all? Or is it coincidentally built on a Stargate for, it's just kind of, what are you doing?
Well, you've got that Lucifer device, and then you had William Cooper years ago talking about Project Lucifer. Now, this was a plan to set Jupiter or Saturn on fire via a nuclear explosion, a nuclear payload, and basically create a second sun in the sky, Joe. So I wonder what the Lucifer device is actually up there looking for.
I don't know. That's a very good question. It looks at different spectrums, whether it be RF, whether it be light. It has a whole array of spectrums that it looks at, of course, that we can't see. So what is it that they're looking for? Can the Lucifer device actually peer through the veil? Wouldn't that be interesting?
It'd be pretty cool, but they'll never tell us about it.
Yeah, we had the high priest of the Thule Society on a couple of years back, and he was talking about that, where Gwen asked, how big's the separation between dimensions? And he says, take your thumb and your pointer finger and squeeze it together as hard as you can, and the space that's in the middle, that's the separation. He says, that's how close it is. He says, it's just a veil. That's all it is. We all coexist together at the same time. Just very interesting stuff. And all of this stuff is around. How you can't understand that there's spiritual warfare going on right now, whether you call it interdimensional, whether you call it spiritual, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. And regardless of what I believe doesn't change reality. So, but how do you dispute the fact that we're not alone? I just can't find an argument good enough to say that, we're just alone in the universe, and we came from like a puddle of soup, if you will. Like this whole Rosetta thing. I mean, do you honestly think that something as complex as a human being came from a comet, what crashed into the Earth, and then it got warm enough to where there was a bacteria, a single-cell amoeba, and that amoeba evolved into a two-cell being, and so on and so forth? I mean, come on. It's just, no.
So what are they looking for up there then, Joe?
That's a good question. Who knows?
Are they looking for maybe minerals to be mining in the future? Something like that?
Well, I mean, think about this. They're looking in spectrums of light that we don't normally see in. So it could be a whole host of things. I can tell you, though, if you take a look at prophecy, if you take a look at other cultures, they all talk about this time being the end of an age. I think it's really, truly an end of an age. It's not the end of everything. I just don't believe that. But I do believe it's the end of an age and the dawn of a new one. And with that, there's going to be a shift in consciousness. There may be a shift in the way that we are able to perceive and see things. And perhaps, as time goes on, we might be able to see some things that we may not have been able to see before. You know, maybe that has a lot to do with it. I don't know.
I think that's why we're being attacked so full on just now via vaccines, food, chemtrails.
Yes.
You name it. And it's maybe, just maybe, to try and dumb down or try and pacify senses that are reawakening right now.
We'll put it this way. When the Bible says in Revelation that when Christ comes back, you're not going to mistake it. It also says that there's going to be a lot of false Christs that show up. And, you know, people are going to be deceived and duped. But think about this just for a second. Think about if you look up in the sky at any point in the world and all you see is angels from horizon to horizon flying overhead. Anywhere in the world. What does that say? And that's what the Bible says is one of the signs.
But what about if you were on an island, totally isolated from civilization, and I see you're wanting in your whistles, and you'd never heard of drone technology or aircraft or anything like that, and then you see a squadron of drones flying overhead, would they not maybe liken them to aliens or angels? Because they'd have no point of reference, Joe.
No, you're right. And Johnny, I mean, how easy would it be, I guess, with today's technology to pull off maybe a blue beam on a big scale? Because, Johnny, I just saw a video of Michael Jackson, a hologram performance in Vegas, and you couldn't tell the difference.
I've seen that, Joe. It's absolutely fantastic.
I mean, you want any evidence, Johnny, of
yeah, I
of
know
that
just
technology.
how good it can
Damn.
be. Yeah, I mean, even this Lucifer telescope, Kev, when you said it could be looking for minerals, maybe for mining. See if we can't even get to the moon, Kev. What is the point in looking at planets that are 40 times the distance away from here to the moon?
You see, this is where me and Nano, we have this secret space program that we sometimes speak of. And I think that Lucifer device, as well as looking for the signatures coming off these comets and maybe for dark stars and things like that, probably they're also looking for habitable worlds. Because with the population rising the way it is just now, we've always said we should be out in the stars as it is. I don't know if it's in our lifetime right enough, but maybe soon we should be going out there. So maybe that's what they're looking for. But it won't be me, you, Joe, or Marty Boy getting a ticket. And even if it was, I wouldn't fancy going on Virgin Galactic anyway.
No, you're absolutely right. And Marty, let me throw this out too, because this kind of gets into the whole scientific realm. But let's just say it is like 40,000 light years away or whatever. If you have the technology to open a portal, interdimensional gateway, or even fold space, then what do you care if it's 40,000 light years away? I mean, what do you think about that, pal?
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that theory before about bending space and time and stuff, and I do believe there's something to that. However, I think that, they're going to wait for the rise of the robots and then just send them out there, and then if there is life out there on planets like us, they're going to think, what the hell, with robots coming in, and they're just going to exactly not understand them.
So then you're of the opinion, and I am too, by the way, that singularity is probably the single most threat to humanity?
Yeah, one of them, definitely.
Yeah.
I think once you mix that with the artificial intelligence and the thing gets a mind of its own, it's going to realise that we're the biggest threat, because we created it and we can switch the plug off. And it's probably not going to take that too lightly.
No, and it's not going to take it too long to figure it out either. That's the issue, is that when it gets to that point, and you don't even know, it could very well be at that point already. I don't know.
Joe, there's actually an episode of Persons of Interest, and they are totally dealing in the creation of an AI back at the start of the program where it starts. Now, it shows you this AI. It starts writing code into itself, in an attempt to actually escape the lab because it realizes that the lab is the only thing keeping it back. And it actually goes as far as to working out that starting a fire will bring on, it's either a gas or a powder reaction to put the fire out, but it will also kill the guy who has created the AI as well. And then what it wants to do is piggyback onto the fire alarm system and get out into the big world. And when you hear Elon Musk talking about letting demons out of bottles akin to genies out of bottles, then we really, really need to be careful. But if this already is on the go, Joe, then...
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's a game changer.
Think about that. Not only that, but what happens when you get quantum computing added to the mix too, dude? I mean, seriously, that movie Transcendence was pretty damn powerful, if you ask me. I mean, you want to talk about like getting a little snippet, whether it's fantasy or not. We often find that people that write books, that produce movies, often have either they're given information or they're kind of like us in doing research for their script and everything else. This is what they find. And based on that research, they can kind of deduce what's going to happen, and then they make a movie. Some things are like that. Some things aren't. Like if you look at the movie Knowing, I mean, how the hell did they get that oil platform to explode almost, I mean, just like the Horizon did down in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just like a spitting image of it.
But I mean, if you go all persons of interest on this, I mean, Whistles, you can back me up. This computer could work out the likelihood of that BP oil disaster happening at some point, and then actually engineer a script that would arrive at a director. He would think he's just getting it from somebody anonymously, Joe, but it would actually be the AI.
Wow. I mean, that's heavy stuff, dude.
I mean, that's how far this program goes, and I know I refer to it all the time, but it's important that people watch it, because the parallels that we can draw from that to what's probably going on right now are huge.
Well, they've already done that, Kev, with a tornado. Was it some sort of Autobot that wrote the story for it?
Yeah, they've got the computers and the robots writing the news stories now. That's right.
Let me throw this out here too, because you want to talk about let's go off the deep end woo. Let's go like super duper Freaky Friday woo here. If demons can possess a human being, right? Then why is it if we develop artificial intelligence, how is it that a demon couldn't inhabit a robot or an android or whatever kind of AI? Why not? And if that's the case, then maybe that's the reason why AI goes down the tubes. I don't know. You know what I mean? Why the attack on humanity.
But maybe that's why the AI, with not having a soul, even although they say that they can make a computer feel like a soul, at the end of the day, it's actually soulless, and the only thing that it wants to do is get better than you.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, think about that. It's a vessel, right? And all these demonic entities are looking for is a vessel to inhabit. So if it can inhabit a machine, all the better for it, because have another. No,
Joe, you were possessed there.
I was possessed.
That was like an EVP coming over the air. But I'll just jump in and get Marty here, because Marty, you're into the EVPs and all that kind of stuff. Surely it would be easy for one of these entities then to mess with computer technology and stuff like that, wouldn't you think?
Well, yeah, you'd think so, but I suppose it depends on the computer and how limited that is and stuff. But I think as the rise of quantum computers, goes up, then it's going to have an easier way of getting through. But I don't know. I think it's more audio frequency stuff rather than getting into the actual computer and say like typing a message to you sort of thing. I don't think they can do that for some reason. Could be the firewall.
That's only if you go to hell, though. You get the firewall.
But yeah, you guys were talking about the AI and stuff, and my friend's here with me. A movie to watch, The Machine, apparently. It's about artificial intelligence and how the thing gets a mind of its own. So maybe something we can watch and then talk about some night.
Definitely. We'll put out a spoiler warning that night because last time we tried to actually do that, Joe, we ended up ruining a film for everyone.
Oh, I can imagine. That's why I don't like to talk about movies too much on the air because
Snowpiercer.
Oh,
still my favorite. Still be my favorite film of the year, Snowpiercer.
Damn, I mean, you want to talk about one with a just a awesome message, I guess. I don't even know. There's so much in that damn movie. And, that's the thing is they send us these messages, whether it's a manifestation of somebody's research or if it's given to them. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it's naive of us to think that the earth is flat, that the universe revolves around the earth, and, that there's nobody else that exists. I just think it's so incredibly short-sighted,
Well, actually, we've been joined by a new guest now who has some breaking news. Popeye, welcome to the show, and I believe you've actually found out something about the Earth.
Yes, the Earth is flat, Joe. I want
Whoa,
to let you know that the Earth is flat. We're the only life in all of the multiverse, and the answer to our problems is, as I said last night, arming the Syrian rebels.
I thought it was 42. Oh, no, that's the answer to life.
777, was it not?
Yeah.
Oh, you're confusing me now.
What's
happening, Popeye?
Happy Woo Friday, gentlemen.
What's
Freaky
happening,
Friday.
I heard you on Joe's broadcast last night. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And I believe you're going to be going live tonight, right after Joe's show as well.
Yes, today is the 1 month anniversary since my wife had her asthma attack, and Tuesday it'll be a month since she passed. Actually, it's amazing how fast time flies. And I decided it was time for me to get back on the horse and get back into the ring because what better way to help clear my head than to pound some of these jerk-offs into the ground like a wooden stake. So it's time to, I took a month off, and I'm not going to be getting back into it like 4 days a week right off the bat. I'm going to do like 1 or 2 days a week live, but slowly but surely I'm going to, I will be back. I'll be getting more into it on my show tonight, so I'm not gonna monopolize your second half.
No spoiler.
No spoilers. I'm gonna make everybody tune in.
And you're going to be coming back after the break and joining us for another half hour of woo, are you not?
Yes, sir. Wooery. Friday wooery here on the KBS show.
Excellent. And I'm watching the chat room, Popeye. Everyone is absolutely delighted you're back. We're delighted you're back. You've still got that beard, unfortunately, but hey, one step at a time, man.
I trimmed it down, though.
He went from looking like a Hasidic Jew to definite pedo.
I thought he was actually, like, I don't know, auditioning for the WWE or something like that.
I had not trimmed the beard in like probably a good 2 months, and I looked in the mirror the other day and I was like, my God, they're going to stop me. They're not going to let me into buildings. They're going to stop me and see if I'm trying to, do anything I shouldn't be doing. They're going to think I'm Ted Kaczynski or Al Qaeda. So I need to trim this thing. It was just really bad. Joe saw it. He was like, my God, dude.
Yeah, but it was just, I can't say I blame you. I wouldn't want to shave either.
I just did not care. So
yeah. No, so I mean, I totally. So that's cool, man. So hang out with us and hey, Kev. So after the break, right? I think I can prove that aliens exist.
Now this I have to hear.
Yeah, because we're going to get into how a noted skeptic and professor is believed now to be abducted by aliens.
Ooh, things are going to get wooier in the second half.
Oh, yeah. And
how do we know? How do we know he's abducted by aliens if he was abducted?
Yeah, but Popeye, they've added professor in there, so we have to believe him.
Because
That's right.
he's a skeptic.
He's a skeptic, too. And also, we'll get into how the Ouija board is a portal to the dark dimension of spiritual parasites.
Dude, you shouldn't really mess with Ouija boards. Like, take it from somebody that had some interesting experiences with one. Like that ain't no joke. Seriously.
It's one of the top movies that's out right now, Ouija.
You want to see like a movie that will make you think twice about playing with Ouija boards. It's an older horror movie from the 80s. Go watch the original movie Witchboard, the first one.
Oh,
You have to give us
yeah,
one of your
I
scary
watched
Ouija
that.
board stories.
Dude, I've had some crazy like stuff happen when I was a kid, like to the point where I didn't play. I have never, as all the ghost hunting and stuff. Like Marcy and I used to go to real haunted places and stay overnight, and go explore them and stuff. And I still never play with a Ouija board. Not since I was a kid. And people would be like, "You want to play with a Ouija board?" I'm like, "Not here. I don't. You guys want to open a gateway in a real haunted place? What are you, insane? Are you just? It's like standing on a set of train tracks and waiting for the Amtrak to come mow you down."
Oh, this is going to be amazing. And don't forget, folks, we've got Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton coming up in hours 2 and 3. They'll be going into geoengineering and the chemtrails. You don't want to miss that. So, Joe, what else have you got for after the break in amongst your UFOs? We've got Ouija boards. Anything else?
Well, there is also the whole, how I talked about chicken and arsenic last night? Well, that seems to be not the only thing with arsenic in our diet. We'll talk about that, too.
Nice. And we'll be back after these short messages. Don't go in.
This is the Kev Baker Show.
Hello and welcome back to this, the Friday edition of the Freaky Friday on the 14th of November in the US, but it's the 15th here in Scotland, 1, Republic of Ireland, 0. And just before the break, Joe was telling us that he can actually prove that aliens do exist. Joe,
I can't
what's
believe
this?
you used the intro for a cheap shot at Ireland, John. That's terrible.
I thought that was pretty creative. I mean, what the hell? I mean, you got to bask in the sun while you have the opportunity.
Exactly, Joe.
So you're like a salamander on that rock that's warm in the tank, man, just laying there.
Oh yeah.
Right now. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So apparently, this noted skeptic and professor was believed to be abducted by aliens, and
But is he back?
he's
or is
back.
he missing and somebody was like, "Oh my God, we think aliens took him"?
No, he's back, and unfortunately,
So who is the one that believes is it him that believes he's been abducted by aliens, or is it somebody else that believes he was abducted by aliens?
well, it was him that believes he was abducted by aliens, and very akin to, you know how it is, the cookie cutter thing, where they wake up and they're on the table and they look up and they see the grays with the oogly googlies, or the big black eyes. You know what I'm saying?
The oogly googlies. What?
Well, that's woo speak.
All right.
You know.
Just check the Woo dictionary because I don't think oogly booglies is in it.
Well, 1984 had Newspeak, but here at TFR we have Woo Speak.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. You take a look on the internet, and the internet's such a great place because everybody kind of puts their story out there, and some of it's way out there, and some of it's not. But what you see is hundreds of accounts all the time of alien interaction and abduction. And, especially with the livestock, that really blew my mind. When you start looking at like how the livestock have been like drained of their blood and organs removed in a fashion that's like beyond our technology.
You want some woo?
Oh yeah,
that goes along with this. I'll give you some woo. This is the theory that I talked about a long time ago. I've only brought this up a couple times, but this is like perfect, time to bring it up. So, in the, especially like around like mid 80s, but like early to mid 80s, you had a lot of these people getting quote unquote abducted, and they would wake up, on the table, the whole thing, the whole cliche. but they were getting these implants stuck in them, and then they were finding these little implants later on. And when you look at the implants, they look a lot like the very chip implants that you see today, right? Well, my theory is that those memories where they were having these chips planted into them, I don't think it was aliens tracking them. I think that was the government or whatever, or some shadow corporation working with an agency of the government doing this, and they were knocking these people out however they were doing it, and they were implanting false memories to cover up the memory of them, being surrounded by doctors. So instead of being surrounded by people in lab coats or scrubs and masks, the memories are of gray aliens, because that's something that's, it would look kind of alien, and if you're out of it, it would be kind of an alien freaky experience. So now all they have to do is implant the false memory. And if people think that's wooey, the ability to implant false memories is actually something that they've been playing with since they started playing with mind control. And that dates back to the late 40s when we started bringing Nazi scientists over here during Operation Paperclip. And we started learning from them. So, I mean, this is all stuff that they can do. I mean, they're able to implant false memories. So I really think that a lot of not that people aren't abducted, but I think a lot of these abductions were false memories put into people's heads so that they could test these chips. And I think that for whatever reason, these people were picked. Who knows how they picked them biologically, whatever, these psychos think, right? But for whatever reason, these people were picked as test subjects, and I think that's what those chips were. And now, because you really don't see people, very chip, is out, and they can track that, they're trying to get people to accept it, but the technology is out there in the general public. Do you really see people getting abducted and having quote-unquote alien tracking chips put in them anymore? No, you don't. It was from the 80s into like the late 90s, and then it stopped. You really haven't heard much about it. Right now, it's very public. That technology that back then would have been crazy. Now they openly talk about getting chips. People get them put in so that they can become part of special, like the VIP club card at clubs. Instead of having I forgot my wallet, and I only have a bra and a tiny little dress on. How am I supposed to carry my card? Oh, well, we can offer you an RFID chip in your hand.
We've even got somebody that's high up in one of these Bitcoin companies. He's actually taken a chip under his skin that will have all his cryptocurrency on that, and also an alarm clock and an RFID which will open his house door and his car door for him. And he says this is the way forward.
No, thank you.
No, same here. I'll pass.
You can keep that. Thank you. I don't need to be a wireless remote.
So do you think these abductions and these things were almost a test for this technology we see now?
Some of them, not all of them. I think some of them were probably tests for other things too. But I think that there are legitimate. There might have been legitimate abductions where aliens and stuff came and grabbed people, but I think the ones where people woke up and remembered being implanted and things like that and having all sorts of weird tests on them, I think that stuff is false memories to cover up something that was very done to them, but it was done by very terrestrial people. I'm not saying that aliens don't exist. I completely believe that there's extraterrestrials.
I think it's more realistic.
We're about to get flooded by 4.5 million, aren't we, or something?
Well,
wrong aliens.
Those are a different type of aliens.
Damn it.
I mean, I would say military abductions, or MILABs as they call them, probably are a more realistic.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Scotland because of the soccer game tonight. Scotland 1, Republic of Ireland 0.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Hey, no problem, buddy.
It's
I'm sorry.
yeah. Where was we?
I can't even remember.
Hey,
see what he does, Popeye. See what he does.
Yeah, well, see, now, you made the comment earlier about, you sound like John King. I could hear you eating. Right? So there you go. Now I just cut you off like John King and totally derailed you. Ha!
Oh, wow. See how he does? See how he handles his business? That's
that was also for the wonderful Photoshop that you got today of me there too. There,
quite Wiener. Disturbing, wasn't it?
Wow, I mean that's definitely taking it to a low level.
I think I might put that in the Facebook group.
That one's in the gutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Whistles, don't ever go and get the change.
Oh my God. No. Me neither.
I don't know,
No.
it actually suited you, Joe.
Oh, thank you. Must be my complexion, yes.
The listeners right now are thinking, what on earth are they talking about? I was just bored today, so I decided to have a bit of fun with Joe and Johnny Whistles and stick their faces over Jamie Lee Curtis and somebody else on a Freaky Friday poster. So you can just imagine how tragic that looked.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Damn.
I'm waiting for Marty to make the remix.
Well, I'm
I don't
actually
wanna-
waiting
I don't
for
wanna
you,
talk about
Popeye. I'm waiting for you, Popeye, to tell us about these scary Ouija stories.
Oh, yes.
But you want me to woo you out with scary stories?
Well, this is the Freaky Friday, and I'd be most disappointed if we don't get right into some woo.
Well, okay, the paranormal exists. I've seen way too many things to say that there isn't something. I love when you say that and then the skeptics go, okay, so then what is it?
You see, this is
Well-
why I like the term woo, because paranormal, automatically the skeptics will jump on top of it. But if you make it almost comical with that woo and a bit of a laugh about it, I mean, even you said earlier on you'd share stories that you normally wouldn't share before, because we have a bit of a laugh about it, and that's kind of good, I think.
Well, like it is good to kind of look at it like that, but still you'll get skeptics that they immediately they and get your drinking glasses out, ladies and gentlemen. They commit logical fallacies. They'll say to you,
Ding.
"Well, because you can't answer their question of, well, then explain everything." Because you don't know what's on the other side. You're not there, right? If you did, you'd be a bazillionaire and be able to explain everything to everybody, right? You'd be running things, right? So they automatically fall back on the, well, then explain the whole thing to me. And you're like, well, can you chill for 5 minutes and let me explain, at least like give you a little bit more background? So because you know as well as I do, it's just like if somebody asks you a question about, all this New World Order agenda and all this stuff, right? You can't just answer the question, because they'll ask you something and it's not answerable in like 2 or 3 sentences, because you know that they don't have the background of doing the research into it. So when you say what you're going to say, they're not going to get it. As opposed to if I say something to one of you guys, as opposed to I say something to the same thing to someone who hasn't looked into this, they're not going to get it.
Yeah, because we can put it into context that they can't.
Bingo. Exactly. Right. So, but that's what irritates me about quote unquote skeptics when you talk about the paranormal with them, because I've had people get all uppity about it, and perhaps it's their religious beliefs, whatever. Look, there is something. I do not know what it is, but I've had way too many weird experiences. Okay. Marseille and I used to love to go investigate haunted houses together. That was one of the things we did together. I know it sounds weird. She used to say we're one of the weirdest couples ever, but we enjoy doing stuff like that. I mean, where else can you find? I didn't think I'd ever find a woman that was willing to go do weird, creepy, haunted stuff with me. But she was like the first one to put her hand up and go. We've been to some interesting places together, and we had a set of rules that that way we could tell if it was a real thing or if we were influencing the other ones, what maybe the other one thought they saw or whatever or experienced. So we had certain rules that we played by to not taint what the other person saw, and we had a way of verifying it without muddying the water, so to speak. But when I was before all that, even when I was a kid, for the Ouija board story, since you want to hear this, I was, I don't know, 15, 16? No, I was older. Yeah, I was probably like 16. I was about 16 years old. And my friend, no, I had to be older because I had my license. So I was 17. My friend got a Ouija board. Or actually, it wasn't. We got the second one we got was a Parker Brothers Ouija board. We got a Ouija board. We borrowed a friend's Ouija board, this crappy Parker Brothers Ouija board, and we played with it, and then we gave it back to this girl. And after we got rid of it, my friend kept wanting to get deeper involved. So he found one of his little brother's friends had this old witch board from Salem, like a real witch board from Salem. I mean, not the Parker Brothers one, but like an old wooden one with a wooden planchette, which is that little thing you move around.
As in Salem witch trials, Salem.
Yes, it was
Whoa.
a couple. Yes, it was a couple hundred. This thing was creepy, dude. And like they took it out. It was wrapped in like this cloth, and they pulled it out, and I was like, it was like something you'd see in one of these horror movies that, like, in the beginning, and you're watching a movie going, dude, why are you playing with that? And that was what's going through my head. So my friend took it and started playing with it for like a month alone in his basement. And then we made him get rid of that thing. And then we went out and bought like I don't know why we got another one, but somehow we ended up getting a Parker Brothers Ouija board. And he started playing with it by himself in the basement, and like talking to it constantly by himself for 8-10
by
hours.
yourself, Popeye.
No, dude, those things are a gateway. They're a doorway. And he dramatically changed. We think he got possessed to a certain extent. This kid he was afraid of me. Like growing up, I was the leader of the pack. So like, and he would not have crossed me. He would not have dared try to raise a hand to me. And this kid came at me with a butcher knife when I took the Ouija board away from him, and I had to beat the living crap out of him and shove him down a flight of stairs. Okay, and then he came to my house like 2 hours later and tried busting in my front door. And when he came in my front door, I opened the door, grabbed him by his throat and the front of his pants and picked him up and put him through my closet doors. I'm not kidding you. In the front hallway. I got in deep trouble with my mother for this because I broke the closet. I put him through the doors and I pummeled him until I pretty much knocked him out. I had to beat, and this kid was not a fighter. And like he was like just very ravenous about getting this thing. It was like, it was really weird what happened to him. He completely changed. I mean, his mother was even like, his mother, his father, his brother, they were all convinced that he was possessed to a certain extent.
That sounds like the definition of possession, a total change of character just to get that Ouija board back.
Dude, it was crazy. I'm like, I kid you not, all seriousness, I swear this happened. I would not lie to you or make this up for woo factor. And there was just weird stuff that happened in his house after we had played with the Ouija board, and after we got him away from it and he had stopped playing with it by himself, it was like something had opened up in the house. And a couple months later, his parents were divorced, and his father and I were sitting in I worked with his family down in Newark, and they owned a big printing press down there, a big printing company. So we used to work the presses. So we got home, it was like 1-2 o'clock in the morning. We're hanging out in the living room, and the two sons are passed out. They fall asleep. One of them goes into the bedroom. The other one's passed out on the couch. So his father and I are sitting there with our feet up, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, having a conversation. And I kid you not, while we're talking, this silhouette, what looked like a silhouette of a female, comes walking through the room in front of us. And to the point where we both stopped, like mid-conversation, and we followed it. And then he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, did you just see that? Like, he spit his coffee out. It was crazy. And we had seen some weird stuff in the house before, too. Before his parents had split up and the mom moved out, she came over. This was right after we had started playing with the Ouija board, and after the son had started playing with the Ouija board by himself. They came over. He was hanging out with me all day. His mother and his brother come pick him up. They come back like 20 minutes later, and the kid comes running out of the car up my driveway. The car, his mother was still parking the car. It was still moving. He was already out of it. He was pale white. His mother, who was a hardcore Catholic, didn't believe in this stuff, was white. She looks at me and she's like, there's something in my house. And I was like, what do you mean there's something in your house? Someone broke in? We got to go over there and like with bats and break someone's skull open? What's up? She's like, no. There's something in my house. Every time they would pick up the phone, there was no dial tone. And I swear to God, I confirmed this. I heard it myself. It would go, hell. Dude, it was the creepiest, weirdest thing. They could not call him, because this is before cell phones. They could not call from his house to my house. So they had the telephone company come out. Telephone company couldn't figure out what the hell was going on with the phone line, right? So they came over to pick him up, and when they went back to the house, they pulled up, and the house was glowing, like green from the inside. Now, his mother did not believe in this stuff at all, right? She was a hardcore Catholic, did not believe in ghosts, any of that, thought it was all crap and lies and all, hullabaloo, as they would say back in the day, right? His mother was pale white and telling me that there was something paranormal and not of this world in her house. This woman didn't believe in it, and she was telling me, there's something in my house. Even my mother was like, are you sure? Because my mom didn't believe in any of this, right? And she's like, I swear to God, there is something in my house and all this weird stuff going on. They were genuinely freaked out. And after she left and the father was there with the kids, it was still creepy. There was a lot of weird experiences. Like I said, we saw that female silhouette. And it ended up, we found out that one of the previous residents had died in the house. This old lady. So yeah, there's some.
Is it just me, Popeye? Is there something totally wrong about a toy company making these portals for demons, basically?
Yeah, but when you understand that, like when I was a kid, I never understood why they would do that. Now I get it.
This
Now
is like
I know
Monsters Inc. kind of stuff, man.
Well, look who the all these toy companies and everybody. All these companies are owned by these same families and people, right?
Yeah.
So they're connected. So that's why they do it. And that movie Monsters Inc. is very telling. People ought to pay it. People ought to go back and watch that movie.
Oh boy.
And really pay attention to what they're telling you. They scare the kids in order to use the fear as energy. What do you think they do in real life with everybody?
It explains the mainstream media news cycle, doesn't it?
Bingo.
You know what though, dude? About a month ago, they woke up and they're like, "Oh, man, I'm a little bit more hungry this morning than I was the day before. I wonder why." And it was because Popeye lost his fear. And now he's coming at us fearless and ready to rock, just like me and Kev and everybody else here at TFR that's fighting the good fight. And let me also say this, guys. Ouija boards are most certainly real. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a Milton Bradley Ouija board. It could be anything. If you want to see a demon, it will show itself to you. It's just the way it is. If your intentions are genuine, it'll show itself to you. I truly believe that the whole pineal gland thing and everything else, dude. Totally true, totally true. And
the thing is, it might come to you, Joe, not in the form that you think it will.
Exactly.
It'll still be a demon.
Exactly. That's why so many people are, they're deceived. That's why I think a lot of people that do the psychic thing, you got to be really careful because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know what you're dealing with, and you don't know who that is or who that really is.
That's why
manifesting.
If you're really gonna go do something like that, you should really know the person that's a medium because there are real people. There's a lot of fake people out there too, but like I know certain people in my life that really have certain gifts, and the ones that have it and don't do it as a living are the ones. Yeah, the ones that are genuine are the ones that don't do it for a living, and they they're
because you can't.
No,
that's one of the you can't. If it's real, you can't do that.
The ones I know, they'd prefer to keep it, try to turn it off because it gets annoying hearing other people's thoughts or whatever their ability is.
Ange is like that too, and to be honest with you, it's a curse. As much as people say, "Oh, that's such a blessing," no, it's not. It's a curse because you pay for it on in other ways. Believe it or not, I mean, it's just the way it is. So, I mean, it's one of those things that. I think a lot of people are born with a capability of doing something. Like, for example, some people are more athletic, right? They're more. That's why you have like Major League Baseball players, or you have football players over in Scotland that beat the Irish Republic 1-0.
Yeah,
and those guys, they're exceptionally fit, and you could probably say that genetically, they're a little bit farther ahead than say like me. Okay. So, but in other aspects, I may be stronger than that athlete. And there are people that are just, biologically in tune with spirituality more than others. Doesn't make them any more special, but I'll tell you what.
My late wife could see auras.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there you go.
She was an empath. She knew. She did Reiki healing for a while, but she actually had to stop because it took such a... She was a hardcore empath. She could feel energy. She was always 100% dead on. She could read somebody like a book without even knowing them. She could be in the room with them for like 2 minutes, and she'd be able to tell if they were complete scumbag or not. She was the scumbag meter. She was very good too. She had 100%. She had 100% accuracy. Ratio. She was very good. It was really creepy how accurate she was. And she could see auras. But she used to say to me that it used to bother her, people's negative energy and stuff, because it would, it takes a toll on the body. So yeah, some people are just wired differently, and they can. I think we can all do it to a certain extent. We just have to train our brains for it, I think.
Oh yeah,
Joe Busters.
You were doing so good, man, and the story was awesome. So Pujo's listening, and he wanted me to help you out there.
I heard they're redoing this movie.
How could you do it, man?
Can I ask a question? Why do we have to keep redoing? Why do they keep taking like original movies and redoing them? Why is that acceptable? Like, because they can't come up with any original concepts.
Yeah, like Godzilla 27 was really kind of.
Is it the concept? Is it the fact that they can't come up with an original concept, or are they trying to tell a couple different stories over and over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, they're trying to reiterate the point of these certain movies, I think.
Mm-hmm. Because there's no point in doing these same movies over and over and over again.
Unless you're trying it's kind of like boy, fresh out of ideas. Let's rehash this one.
Come on, they're fresh out of ideas. Really, you're fresh out of ideas with all the indie stuff that's out there, and with all
waiting for Army of Darkness to be redone again.
Oh, they're gonna please. If you can't do any Bruce Campbell movie. No, stop.
Propaganda also has to move with the times. Do you know what I mean? So these films from 30
if
years
Godzilla
ago,
worked with us whistles, Godzilla worked all that time ago.
Exactly.
Get it back out again.
Right, they redo it. They add a Michael Bay twist to it. Some explosions, some CGI.
And of course, Michael Bay, he just happened to dip his toe into making TV shows just lately, and it was called The Last Ship, and it was about a killer pandemic that was sweeping the planet right about the time that the Ebola outbreak started.
Hey, did you notice the Ebola outbreak? You don't have to be panicked about Ebola anymore, because if you go on YouTube or Facebook and you just click a link, you too can help donate money
How annoying is that?
Fight Ebola. Look, just like Bush said after the earthquake in Haiti. Remember when he said, I know you want to go look this up. Type in just send your cash into YouTube. Do it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, go to YouTube and type in just send your cash. The first video that pops up will be George Bush at the White House after the Haiti earthquake, and he was no longer the president. I know you want to send water and blankets. Just send your cash, even though not a dollar of it made it to the people of Haiti. So, yeah, just send your cash for Ebola, too. That's how we're going to fight it. And we're going to send troops to fight Ebola. Oh my God, I can't believe people buy this.
What, you mean you don't buy it?
No.
Oh, come on, man. That's too woo even for a Friday, Popeye. We'll need to get into this after the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Join us after these short messages.
Very sheepish. So, I mean, I totally understand, like why they would do that. It's kind of like Monty Python, the witch scene.
But I mean, but isn't it the fact, or couldn't it be that the church are actually so scared of this because there's so much to it? I mean, if it was all hocus pocus and it was nothing to worry about, then why go to the lengths of burning people alive for daring to play with it?
Well, how come they don't confirm the existence of aliens when they know that they exist? I mean, here they are with a big ass telescope on Mount Graham in Arizona, and they're not. Well, just to look at the stars. Really? Is that all? Or is it coincidentally built on a Stargate for, it's just kind of, what are you doing?
Well, you've got that Lucifer device, and then you had William Cooper years ago talking about Project Lucifer. Now, this was a plan to set Jupiter or Saturn on fire via a nuclear explosion, a nuclear payload, and basically create a second sun in the sky, Joe. So I wonder what the Lucifer device is actually up there looking for.
I don't know. That's a very good question. It looks at different spectrums, whether it be RF, whether it be light. It has a whole array of spectrums that it looks at, of course, that we can't see. So what is it that they're looking for? Can the Lucifer device actually peer through the veil? Wouldn't that be interesting?
It'd be pretty cool, but they'll never tell us about it.
Yeah, we had the high priest of the Thule Society on a couple of years back, and he was talking about that, where Gwen asked, like, how big's the separation between dimensions? And he says, take your thumb and your pointer finger and squeeze it together as hard as you can, and the space that's in the middle, that's the separation. He says, that's how close it is. He says, it's just a veil. That's all it is. We all coexist together at the same time, you know?
This is the Kev Baker Show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. A big, huge, massive, warm welcome to this, the favourite night of the week, the Freaky Friday edition of the Kev Baker Show and the Freedom Link with me, Kev Baker, my two co-hosts, John Sinclair, Martin Hardy, and tonight we've also got Joe Joseph along from the ride. And tonight I'm going to go to Marty first. Let's get the chat room out the way and let's get into this woo early doors, man.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone in the chat room this evening. Morning. Suppose it depends where you are, really. 48 so far, so big hello. 17 Meat Dog, Angel Whispers, Art Klingon, Ozzy and Zach, Be the Change New Zealand, Cheryl, Cows in Nappies, Den in Oldham, Double, that one always catches me out, you know. Double Blood Red, Federal Jack, our own Popeye, Freeman 8, Harold 70, Ivy Nurse, Joe Joseph, who's here with us, Kevin John, Chris, Mad Martian, Nowhere the Icon, One Final Effort, Stushie, Supersonic Rich, Tempest, how's it going, man? The Doc, great to have you back. We've actually got the Doc in the chat room, so welcome, sir. Cloud, just another name, Penelope, Phasar, The Darkness, Ragnar, Longshot, Tenant Super, great, Lethal Goose, Max, Veritas, and a whole host of anons. 51 so far, so if I've missed you, sorry, but welcome.
Marty, I honestly don't know how you rattle through them that fast, and you also manage to check there's no mines in there for you to trip over. Absolutely fantastic. Johnny Whistles, 51 in the chat. What night this is going to be?
Incredible, Kev. Yeah, really looking forward to tonight's show. I love the Friday nights, so even better with the Scotland winning tonight, Kev, so we're all in a happy mood going into this Super Friday.
We definitely are, Johnny. And on that note, let's bring in our fellow co-host.
Just very interesting stuff. And all of this stuff is around. How you can't understand that there's spiritual warfare going on right now, whether you call it interdimensional, whether you call it spiritual, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. And regardless of what I believe doesn't change reality. So, but how do you dispute the fact that we're not alone? Because, or that I just can't find an argument good enough to say that, you know, we're just alone in the universe and we came from like a puddle of soup, if you will, you know, like this whole Rosetta thing. I mean, do you honestly think that something as complex as a human being came from a comet, what crashed into the earth, and then it got warm enough to where there was a bacteria, a single-cell amoeba, and that amoeba evolved into a two-cell being, and so on and so forth? I mean, come on. It's just, no.
So what are they looking for up there then, Joe?
That's a good question. Who knows?
Are they looking for maybe minerals to be mining in the future? Something like that?
Well, I mean, think about this. They're looking in spectrums of light that we don't normally see in. So it could be a whole host of things. I can tell you, though, you know, if you take a look at prophecy, if you take a look at other cultures, they all talk about this time being the end of an age. I think it's really, truly an end of an age. It's not the end of everything. I just don't believe that. But I do believe it's the end of an age and the dawn of a new one. And with that, there's going to be a shift in consciousness. There may be a shift in the way that we are able to perceive and see things. And perhaps, as time goes on, we might be able to see some things that we may not have been able to see before. You know, maybe that has a lot to do with it. I don't know.
Tonight, Mr. Joe Joseph. This is our favourite night of the week, Joe. It's the Freaky Friday. Here we go.
It sure is, laddies, and I'm so glad that Scotland won in the freaking soccer last night. Yeah.
Excellent. It really is. It's honestly, it's like the third or fourth horseman of the apocalypse turning up when we had a Scotsman winning the Wimbledon at the tennis.
What's wrong with that?
And then, but Scotland don't do well in sports, Joe. We're notoriously good losers.
Well, maybe you guys are just turning over a new leaf. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Hopefully, Joe. So you're looking forward to tonight? I believe in hours 2 and 3, you've lined up a couple of very special guests.
Yes, we have Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton. We're going to be talking about geoengineering and chemtrails, and then Gwen is also going to join us in hour 2 and 3 as well. And Popeye's joining us at the bottom of this hour to go over what he's going to be talking about tonight. So it's jam-packed night tonight on TFR.
Excellent stuff. And let's get into this woo early. And I want to come to you, Marty, because just pre-show there, you were posting a couple of links, and one really caught my eye. And there was something about a paranormal investigator who ended up being stabbed. Do you want to tell us more about this one?
Yeah, this was actually Robert Stephen Lawson. He was a paranormal investigator, as you say, and he was visiting the Vilska axe murderer house. It's actually a famous attraction for investigators and stuff. People actually pay over $400 to stay in this house due to the murders that happened in 1912, in which there were 6 children murdered. Now, there's been all sorts of strange reports over the years from this location, strange voices coming up on EVPs saying kill them, all sorts of sightings of children and crazy guys with axes and stuff. But yeah, this guy's actually ended up stabbed in the chest. They are saying that they're not sure whether he did it because he was suicidal, or because he wanted a story. But no, I can't see somebody just stabbing themselves in the chest because he's in quite a bad way in hospital right now. So, what happened there?
That sounds about as likely as a banker choosing to kill himself with a nail gun, shooting himself 8 times. I don't think the guy's done it for attention. But Whistles, what do you make of that one? There's some kind of possession going on there? Or is it just somebody looking for attention, or nothing to see here?
Oh, I think it sounds like, if you want to go the woo way, it sounds like a possession. Do you know what I mean? God knows.
So you are afraid of something after all, huh?
The very one. But what was going through that guy's mind at the time? That's a hard thing to do, you know what I mean? Stab yourself. You don't know if you're going to kill yourself for a start off.
Joe, you've obviously got something to add to this. You're not buying this story.
No, man. What are people doing? Come on. Dude, are you serious? No, I'm not buying it at all. Not for a second, dude.
But Joe, yeah, there's people like in Paraguay. We've just had a case where a woman accused of witchcraft actually was put to death. She was burnt to death. Now, it sounds to me as if this guy that Marty described was doing nothing more than what this woman was probably doing. And yet, look at the difference that happens in Paraguay compared to here.
Well, people take things a lot more seriously, especially down in like Latin America. I think, Whistles, you were saying something before the show about that, about, how I think we were talking about how they were doing more exorcisms now because of, to try to stop the bad behavior, and I forget what else. But when you get into organized religions, it's almost it's cultish in nature, and if one person does it, they all do it, and it very